The civet weighs approximately 2 to 5 kilograms and the body is around 21 inches in length and excluding the tail. The tail is 18 inches long. With the civet's body type, it is fixedly grey all over with a bushy and coarse fur. The civet also has 3 black markings. It also has a distinct white marking across its forehead. The civet has a very distinctive feet which have helped it adapt to its environment. The lower legs are black, short and strong with claws to help with good grip for climbing. The civet's eyes are roundish almond shape. There is a thin black line between the eyes and a small patch of white under each eye. With the eyes, the civets have erect and angular ears with black coloration. The civet has a white spot on each side of the nostril and has a black muzzle. The characteristic of the civet's tail is the lateral part of the tail is black. The teeth are sharp, pointed, helping the civet to crush bones of small rodents, reptiles, and the exoskeleton of insects. To be able to tell the male and females apart can be easy to tell because of the dark and light shades on the bodies. The civet has 5 welfare needs in order to live an adequate life in captivity. One of these is the need to be housed with or apart from other animals. The civet is a solitary animal, which means it lives alone and will only interact with other civets when mating occurs. Another welfare need is for a suitable diet. The civet is an omnivore, meaning it eats vegetation such as herbs, berries and pulpy fruits, alongside small rodents, reptiles, amphibians and insects. The next welfare need is need to be able to exhibit natural behaviours. At the college, the civet is kept in a dark environment because the civet is a nocturnal animal, meaning it is most active during the night. At the peak of the civet's activeness is during the late hours of the evening to the early hours of the morning, but is least active when the moon is at its brightest. The civet is a terrestrial and arboreal animal, meaning the civet lives up high amongst the trees. They use their anal glands to scent mark. Having logs and rope within the enclosure aids this, as they are able to excrete scent on them. The next need is need for protection against pain and suffering, injury and disease. There are many threats that the civet has while in the wild. These are tigers, leopards, large snakes and crocodiles. The civet are also hunted because of the coffee trade, kapulawak. The next need is the need for suitable environment. In the enclosure, the civet has many hiding places within. The flooring is made of wood chips and leaves to provide a natural flooring as it would have in the wild. There are also bamboo shoots attached to the enclosure to allow the civet to hide from the public view. The civet also has long ties and rope ties to aid arboreal and terrestrial traits that the civet would have in the wild. The cave specifications for the civet environment are wire mesh that is sunk into the concrete footings to prevent the civet from escaping by digging its way out. The wire must be good quality and rust resistant. There should also not be any sharp edges from joining the wire ends, as this can cause injury and suffering. The wire is also joined by thick pieces of wood around the enclosure. The Animal Welfare Team at Morton College have provided long branches across a variety of platforms in the enclosure. This gives the civet a chance to exhibit arboreal behaviours such as climbing. These are securely fixed with bolts and hooks to ensure no branches fall in the enclosure. They also made the enclosure with wire mesh requirements that I mentioned before.
Spatial allowance is determined by the distribution and availability of critical resources. Information on space use and habitat selection is necessary for the conservation and management of wild populations. It has been suggested that in the wild, the civet is an important seed disperser to help with population growth and vegetation recovery. In the forest, space allowance is determined by fruit availability and of resting areas. Where there is an abundance of fruit, Asian palm civets will generally tend to fluctuate wherever there is the most available resources. Asian palm civets also need to rest and sleep in tree hollows, vine tangles, and oil palm trees. They can also live in disturbed habitats, so the range of food will differ from place to place. Asian palm civets can also live in villages and the outskirts of towns and are regarded as pests due to the noise they make during the night. This Asian palm civet has plenty of food nearby, with a comfortable resting place above ground so his body is completely hidden. As he is in captivity, there is always a wide variety of food to consume, a large space to live in, and a suitable nesting box. So the need to move to different areas based on fruit and insect availability is satisfied.
Climate. Whilst the Asian palm civet lives in a wide range of habitats, it's most commonly found in Southeast Asia, the Indonesian islands and southern China. Therefore, they are more well suited to hotter climates with moisture in the air. They usually live in rainforests because it's an ideal climate for them. Currently, the Asian palm civet is under threat from deforestation, therefore it is losing its natural habitat and may have to move to areas where the climate is not so adequate. However, the civet can alter its behaviour and lifestyle depending on their environment and climate with little trouble because they can adjust to nearly all climates. Ventilation. Asian palm civets that are kept in captivity have to have a constant airflow kept at a stable temperature. I asked one of the technicians about the civet we were observing and what its ventilation requirements are in its enclosure. The heating in the room is always 22 degrees Celsius and an air transfer ventilation system is in place that automatically comes on at regular intervals during the day and night to refresh and circulate the air. Light. The Asian palm civet is a nocturnal animal, which means it rests during the day and is active at night, particularly at dawn and dusk. Therefore, in captivity, the enclosure is dark and quiet in order to replicate its wild environment. In the wild, it is thought that the Asian palm civet developed their nocturnal behaviour as a way to avoid predators that are active during the day. After asking a technician, I found that the enclosure of the Asian palm civet we observed is on a 12-hour light cycle, 12 hours of daylight and 12 hours of no light at all. His enclosure is only dimly lit. If too much light enters the room, then this can cause the civet a lot of stress and take a toll on its natural behaviours. The technicians must lay out strict guidelines for anyone going into the room on how to enter appropriately so that the civet's welfare is not put at risk.
With the civet's bedding, it should be provided and elevated approximately 1.2 metres above the ground and accessible from 3 suitable fixed branches from different points. In the enclosure, the civet has bedding made out of old fire hose and is fixed by hooks and bolts that can hold the civet's weight. There are 3 log fixtures that aid access to the bedding. Within the civet's enclosure, the flooring is not exactly concrete and is left natural, made of forest plants and leaves. The leaves promote the civet's foraging behaviour. Log stumps are found around the floor of the enclosure as a climate apparative for the civet for when it is on the floor, to aid the civet to get back up upon the highest points of the enclosure.
The Asian palm civets have been known to interact with each other whilst feeding with no aggression shown, and have been spotted with a group size of 5 to 8 individuals living in a wide variety of habitats ranging from the wilderness to human settlements. However, they are primarily known to be solitary animals apart from when mating. The civet in this video lives a solitary life with no others in his enclosure. If he were to be housed with another, this could cause aggression, possible injuries, and even extreme stress.
Feeding regime. In captivity, the Asian palm civet eats 5 times a day, but this may vary in the wild due to factors like food availability, their environment, and predators. They are omnivores, so their diet mainly consists of fruits such as berries, papaya, and mango, as well as some vegetables like sweet potato. Similar to most of the civet family, the Asian palm civet also eats things like insects, rodents, and reptiles as a fundamental part of their diet. The Asian palm civet we have observed has a diverse meal plan to meet his feeding requirements. Each meal is given to him at specific times throughout the day. These are in the early morning, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., 2:30 p.m. and in the evening. The majority of his feeds are provided in enriching ways to maintain a healthy, natural behaviour of foraging, like they would do in the wild. For example, corn on the cob is hung around the enclosure, scent trails are made with mice and herbs, mango is placed in the puzzle feeder or put in a frozen Kong, and papaya is smeared on the branches in the enclosure. In the wild, palm civets are more active when their food supply is plentiful. Sometimes palm civets will have overlapping territories, and this depends on the availability of food. When there is a steady supply of food in their region, they typically rest in the same tree every day and don't venture much further. They then search for their meals when the light gets low in order to avoid predators.
From time to time, civets in captivity need to be handled for vet appointments or during emergencies. The use of operant conditioning training to aid in the capture or restraint of them is highly recommended. All animal technicians need to have emergency husbandry procedures in place. Asian palm civets can be trained to enter a carrier on cue. In this video, the Asian palm civet can be seen undertaking clicker training with a target. The civet has to follow the target, then when the clicker is used, he gets a treat. When it is not possible to get him into the carrier, heavy-duty gauntlets are used to capture and restrain him. He is held above the shoulders, similar to a cat, with a second person to help. Upon arrival at the vet, the same technique is applied to sedate him before any treatment can be administered. It is important to carry out the handling process in a calm manner, as the civet can become easily stressed, stop eating, hide away, and potentially injure himself or others. Civets do not require extensive exercise programs. However, they do require branches, logs, and vines to be able to climb and jump. It is suggested that no viverage should be housed in an exhibit less than 10 times the length of the animal. The animal welfare team at Moulton College have provided a large area with plenty of branches, logs, and vines safely fixed into place to allow the civet to explore and exercise freely. Absence of these items could result in abnormal behaviours such as pacing and self-mutilation, effectively leading to health problems. We decided to conduct an experiment implementing a new enrichment activity. This was agreed upon by the animal technicians. We safely defrosted 4 large frozen mice in a bowl and attached them by their tails to different ropes in his enclosure and used the water to smear the scent around. This was centered around the idea to enhance his olfactory senses and promote hunting and scavenging. We closed him in one half of his enclosure while setting this up for added safety measures and released him when finished. The idea proved to be a success, as he is seen to be using his nose to locate prey whilst also encouraging the need to climb and grab the desired object. In the future, this may be more effective with a different variety of items placed around the entire enclosure as opposed to a specific area.